said you can bury the workmen, but the work will go on. You can silence the voices, but you can't stop the song.
Welcome to Wheeling the Pathways of Life Unplugged with your host, Brain Fitzpatrick. Wheeling the Pathways of Life Unplugged is a snapshot of the day-to-day experiences of disabled individuals as they navigate the world around us. We wish to shed light and open your eyes on a new perspective of people with disabilities. And by going unplugged, we can discuss viewpoints we hope will challenge our viewers' points of view. Most of us have disabilities we must live with, but what defines us is the way we deal with them. And now, here's your host, Brain Fitzpatrick.
Good afternoon, folks. This is Brain Fitzpatrick, bringing you an episode of Wheeling the Pathways of Life. This will be an interesting interesting episode and a milestone for me. Being my birthday is Sunday, so this will be my last show being 49. I'll be 50 on Sunday. So, and with that, our show is going through some semi-major changes. A couple of them you're probably not even gonna really notice, but one of them is I'm gonna be bringing on more people from the city in the next year. From the Equity and Inclusion Department at City Hall. One of the consultants right now that is working with the mayor's office happens to go to the church I go to, so it's going to be a interesting tie-in as things develop, because I have plenty of ideas where things need to be improved. As far as the city's concerned, and we're also going to be looking at access in the buildings, more accessible transportation, reasonably scheduled transportation, because we still have several issues like the hospital situation going on that people think is not a big deal, but it is a big deal when you're forced, both from a medical standpoint and as a patient, forced after 5 o'clock to be admitted to the hospital because you don't have a way to get home, because there's no disabled transportation available. I will be working with the mayor's office and more closely with the Disability Commission and seeing if we can come up with a way to solve that problem. I know the Disabled Commission is working on it. And the graphics on the show don't reflect the new chair, and that's going to be changing pretty soon too. And you soon will be hearing a different voice on the voiceover for the show, because I'm involving the people at New Life Community Fellowship more into the production of the show. And as I am the producer of that broadcast as well, that's done weekly, both on Facebook and this station at 3:30 to 5:30 on 3:30 to 5 on Sundays. So we will be making those changes as well. But one of the main things that I want to talk about, and I may sporadically talk about aspects of it throughout the whole show, but I want to start this segment, talking about this segment as a consumer and as a staff member. Both people need to pay attention to this, both consumer and staff need to consider this as well. As a consumer, I'm speaking to people that are consumers now, specifically. Don't let any staff put you in a compromising situation. Okay? If you don't feel comfortable with the situation, say something. It doesn't mean you have to say it to the agency per se. It just means that you gotta say something to the person if they make you feel uncomfortable. It doesn't have to be physically. It can be something they say or something they did in some way, shape, or form. Just be aware that you're there to do a job. Okay? It's nice to be friendly. It's nice to be considerate. It's nice to have a relationship with somebody, but both aspects you can't feel uncomfortable in either situation. Now, meaning if somebody has medical conditions with their eyes or something like that, and they put you in a lift, the consumer has to be comfortable enough to have them do it. Don't just let the staff do it because you'll have a problem. You'll have a problem getting somebody else to do it for you. The fact that you need help, the fact that consumers need help, we as consumers cannot jeopardize our health or safety for somebody else needing hours to work. If they're not capable of doing the job, they shouldn't be doing it. Now, I get the fact that everybody needs hours and everybody has a life and situations like that happen, but consider the fact that you're taking care of somebody's life. Yeah, you may lose some hours if you're sick or something like that, but for example, if I get sick, the staff is not working anyway, okay? If I get sick and end up in the hospital, I can't pay the staff any money for work that is not done. So if I'm in the hospital, they don't get paid. Okay? They just don't. People don't realize that when they come in and they think, oh, I got a sniffle, or I got a low-grade fever or migraine, and I'm thinking that I can, this is speaking from their aspect, I'm thinking I can handle it, I need the money and stuff. Yeah, but if I end up in the hospital, then you can't get any money because I'm in the hospital and you can't get paid if I'm in the hospital. Now, you can get paid if you've got PTO and sick time, okay? But that also depends on how much PTO and or sick time you have to work with. Now, PTO and sick time can only last for so long. So it's not like anybody's got a crystal ball and can figure out what's going on. But I'm just letting the staff know, any staff member that anybody works with, just consider your client more than yourself sometimes, because if your client's sick, then you may be jeopardizing your money by getting a client sick, because the longer they're in the hospital, for what you get paid. And one other aspect that people don't realize, and I didn't mention, is after me being out, for example, if I'm in the hospital more than 2 weeks, I have to re-qualify for the BCA program. And always at that point of requalification, especially after just coming out of the hospital, there's always a chance where they say you're not physically able to go back home because of whatever. And that's a longer time than you would consider. That's a longer time that you won't be able to get paid, and the consumer may not be able to go back home right away. So, it's all based on, and that's in some cases more prevalent than you know, especially the older people get, and the compromising immune systems that people have. By you going into work just because you need money, it could very easily damage your reputation and the client's lifestyle. So just consider that the next time you go into work. Especially someone you physically have to make sure they get out of bed and stuff. Make sure you can see what you're doing. Make sure you can hear. Make sure that when you're at the job is a priority. I'm not saying people can't help life, but they need to be available and attentive to what needs to go on. So, and the other thing is, too, along those same lines, I understand people's situations, okay? Also, the other situation along the same lines is I can't just give people hours because they need money. I can't just pull somebody out of a position, or let's say somebody else has a shift. I can't just pull them out and say, you're not working today because I need somebody else needs the hours. That's something I can't do. However, there is plenty of time for my schedule that I have. I can do a relief program, and that relief program is anybody calls out, I will be calling them. I will be calling the person that's always asking me for more hours. So I consider that in your case, dude, you got a PCA that's always looking for more hours. Just say I don't have any available now, but put it together as relief. Keep them in mind for relief because there's always a chance that somebody's gonna call out. Kids get sick and stuff like that, and it's not it is not improper for me as a consumer or anybody else that's listening to me right now to say your life is too your life is consuming you. You've got kids, you've got other responsibility. I need somebody that's more committed to me and more available. That is not, some people may say that's a harsh thing to do, but sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do, because if it doesn't work for the consumer, it's not gonna work for the client. It's not gonna work for the staff if the consumer is not comfortable. That's what I'm saying. It's not gonna necessarily work within the confines. For example, I've changed my shifts around so I no longer have somebody available 8 hours during the day. I only have somebody 3 to 4 hours a day because I feel like if there's too much downtime, they're looking for something to do, and I don't have enough personal time of my own to do what I want to do. I can't have a personal life of, staff work. No, I'm like case all the time. So what I'm saying to you guys today is just make sure you communicate your concerns and communicate your needs and your wants with your staff. I know the agencies are gonna say that's our job. Okay. Don't worry about you coverage and stuff like that. When it comes right down to it, in my case at UCP, add your agency into what I'm gonna say. Put whatever agency you're with into what I'm gonna say. If they're not willing to come in and help me out in situations where I need them to help me out, whether it be physically or with paperwork or whatever, then they have no business telling me what I can and can't do. Okay, I know there's some stuff legally that I can't do. I can't tell somebody they can't take care of the kids, they can't. But if it's becoming, they can't take care of the kids, they can't be homeless, the kids, but I can't say if it becomes a continuous thing, then I need to look in other situations because into other alternatives because if you focus on everything, you can't be focused on your family and be focused on me too. But I'm not saying I will take anybody off the schedule that is considering a family, but I'm saying if it becomes a problem, then I'm gonna have to. If it becomes a continuous issue, then I'm gonna have to. But luckily with my team now, I'm seeing a little bit of that, but I got good communication with my staff. I hardly have to get agencies involved and stuff like that, so that's basically what. So, as time goes on, I will fill you in on what I'm doing with the city and stuff like that. And this July will be, I'm gonna try and get a walk done, but with the birthday of in the 4th of July and everything coming up, I don't know what's gonna happen this year, but I will see what I can do about putting walk together and stuff like that. And any suggestions for anything you guys wanna see or hear about, you can email me at wheelingthepathwayoflife@gmail.com. wheelingthepathwayoflife@gmail.com. And any topic is acceptable as long as I will not put somebody on that will not hear, will be focused on just one opinion. You may have yours, but you gotta be able to listen to other people's opinions. Even though you don't agree with it, there are things, even within the city, and even within the state, that I will tell the city council and everybody I can that I disagree with it. That's within my rights to do it. But we have to do it appropriately, and we have to do it with a in my opinion, we have to do it with a couple different possible solutions in mind. You may not always get what you want, but at least give them a couple opportunities, couple of ideas of what you want to be able to do and what you want the city to understand. What I don't like is people complaining without at least coming up with a possible solution. They can take that solution and do what they want with it, but at least you're participating and engaging with them and with me. I'm trying to come up with a solution to some of these problems that may be something that somebody else is thinking, but too afraid to say something. Because as you know, by doing this show and other shows like it, I am not afraid to say what I feel, and not afraid to speak my mind, and I'm entitled to my opinion like anybody else, but it's how you address things. And one of the things that I notice a lot is, and this is the main thing I wanted to talk about today, is people, and I've talked about this all the time, is people think because I'm in a wheelchair, and so many other consumers are in wheelchairs, blind physically, why are they worried about that? Because they're in a chair, they don't have to deal with that. Yeah, but we have to deal with people that are affected by it. People don't have transportation to get to work, or if I'm stuck at the hospital because of no transportation, that means I'm affecting somebody else's pay. If I'm, that means it's not my choice that's holding them up. It's the fact that I can't get home so that I can get back to my life and they can get back to work. I'm not saying I should be concerned about all the time about other people, but without other people helping me to do what I do, and I've gotten lucky in the recent time. I set up the schedule so that my PCA comes to the studio with me to run the audio board for me for the show. It's a win-win situation because he's allowing, by him coming here, is helping me in the community if I need something other than if I need something in an emergency situation, he's here to do that too. It's just an added benefit that he's agreed to help me out with the audio board. But you know, the flexibility and understanding and working for the client and not for your interest at times is important too. That is one of the keys. I'm not saying it's never going to be a problem, because believe me, it has. But the main focus, and for me too, the main focus can't be on me all the time. And my main focus can't be on PCAs all the time either. It's got to be a relationship where we both can work together and both understand what needs to happen. And every circumstance is up to the client and up to their physical needs and up to the person, of course, that's financially covering this. Although I don't agree with some of the financial and the rules and regulations of the state sometimes, but we all have to deal with things we don't like to deal with. So, I mean, and we need to when I stop like this, I'm trying to get my breath, and when I stop like this, I'm trying to make myself clear so you understand what I'm saying. So if I all of a sudden stop and just take a breath for a minute, that's why, because I'm trying to make myself more understood and catch up with my thoughts as far as what I'm trying to say, because sometimes my thoughts get ahead of my physical ability to say them. What I was saying is, we gotta work on communication with people and understanding that just the people with disabilities, I don't consider myself as a disabled person. Kelsey, can you pull out just one time for me? As I've said several times on this show, this chair is just a tool. It's just a tool, something I use and something that's a part of me, but it is not who I am. It is not what I'm about. It is a factor in my life, and it is pretty much sometimes a cool factor, sometimes a fun factor, but there is factors about it that I don't like. And okay, Gozy. The biggest factor that I don't like is people see the chair and they think, what can he do? Well, I want you to pay attention to this show and pay attention to other shows that I've done. Ask yourself, what can't he do versus what can I do? Because I will guarantee you, I put in more hours doing what I do than you do on your everyday 8-hour day job. You may be physically more busy, more tired. I'm speaking inside. It was not planned, by the way, but you may be physically more tired and you know what, I get more mentally tired because people are so inconsiderate and make themselves look like total idiots when they say, you know, what can he do? And stuff like that, because just because I'm in a wheelchair doesn't mean nothing. I can tell you how to get around so many disability situations, so many accessibility situations that your head will spin. Why? Because I live it every day. And my job doesn't make a lot of money, I don't have the ability to make a lot of money. I don't have the ability to do all this. But with the knowledge that I have, what do you think? What do you think I want to do? And what do you think people like me want to do? Do they want to listen to people in insurance companies and in charge of these transportation businesses and these medical facilities that have to say what they have to say because of financial reasons, or somebody like me that knows what has to be done because I live these situations. Now, I'm not being paid by anybody to say what I'm saying. I've chosen to come on this show and put the show together and say what I say. So nobody is telling me to say this, but there are people out there, and there are insurance companies and higher ups that are getting paid for this, are getting paid to do what they do, and they have to. Everybody's got to put food on the table for their families, but those people need to be honest too, and tell people the real story about what's going on. And I think the sad part is, even though we have physical challenges and stuff, in so many cases, I feel like I have more, and so many other clients that I know do too. Sometimes I feel like we have more of a grip on reality than most able-bodied people do. I'm not trying to say all able-bodied people don't have it, but I'm saying with everything we got, we understand what's got to be done. We understand how difficult it is to get funding and stuff, but that doesn't mean we don't need the services we need. And we should not be penalized because we need the services we need. Okay? I'm talking about any services. Like they tell me every year we gotta be recertified for PCAs and stuff. It's like, why? Have I died yet? Am I not sitting in a chair this week that I sat in last week? What's the difference? If anything, it's gonna get worse before it gets better. I'm gonna need more services than I will need less services. And believe me, when I die, people are gonna know it. At that point, you can stop services. But until then, come up with different ways to recertify. I don't see a doctor ever denying what I need based on medical needs. You know what I see? Insurance companies denying things just because it costs too much. It's like them saying to me, you are in a chair because you want to be. You're choosing to be in a chair. That's not the case. Life is like it is because it is. We don't choose how we are as human beings. We choose what we do, but we don't choose our physical abilities and disabilities and challenges. So why does the insurance companies have the right to choose what they pay for? You know why? because politicians made it that way. And until politicians and other people see what it is like for me, it will always remain that way because they don't understand unless it is one of them that needs services. I guarantee you that would change if they needed services. I brought on one of the best advocates for this, for that example, Trisha Bouvier, on to discuss this. And she's like, people like her want to know what's going on. The people that don't want to know what's going on in politics don't deserve to be in politics. Now, I don't agree with everything the mayor does or says or talks about at city council and what he's gonna do on North Street or whatever three of the mayors did on North Street. But I deal with him because he's a person too with an opinion. We gotta be effectively able to disagree and not be disagreeable. There's a big difference. Let me say that again. We gotta learn to disagree, not be disagreeable. Because if we disagree with reasons and explain why we disagree, so people understand it, maybe less people will be disagreeable because they don't want to hear the fact that we disagree because we don't explain ourselves well enough for them to understand why we don't want to do the thing we do. Why we don't want to do the things they want us to do. We have the right to do that, but it's how we do it and how we present things to people is how I want you guys to be. So I want the show to give you examples, just present it in a way that's understandable for other people. Other people may not get it no matter what you do, what you say, but it's keeping up the communication. Because I'm gonna coin a phrase here, but I'm gonna actually take a phrase from my show. Take a phrase from my opening. Each of us have our own pathways. It's the way we choose to handle the pathway is the most important part. We've got two different pathways, and people are entitled to go down their pathway, but it's how they do it and how they make themselves known and what they're trying to get across to people that matters. And if you want to make yourself look like an idiot, go ahead. But you're not going to get your message across as well if you're an understanding and compromising person. Compromising and understanding and reasonably argumentative is one thing, but if you're gonna be just, no, this is the way I want to do things and this is the way it's going to be, you're not gonna get very far in life. And like I said, if anybody has any questions or any comments about what I say, I have no problem discussing them with you or getting ideas from you. And anybody outside of the area, leave me a message on YouTube or Facebook and let me know what your opinion is. Or like and subscribe. And like and subscribe, leave a comment, give me ideas of what your situation's like. Don't give me too much personal information if you don't want to, but go ahead and give me information if you want to, and then I will take it seriously and try to put together a show around your situation. And with that, folks, you can get hold of me at wheelingthepathwaysoflife@gmail.com. wheelingthepathwaysoflife@gmail.com is the email address. And with that, folks, I will see you next weekend. Hope you have a great week, and next week I will be a year older. But this show is not gonna change. I'm still gonna be a strong advocate for other people and continue the work that I do. Good afternoon, folks. Thank you.
Can bury the workman, but the work will go on. You can silence the voices, but you can't stop the song. 'Cause when the spirit's moving is where will be done. You can bury the workman, but the work will